card comes.
Today, 2/3 of us talked about Twitter Spaces, diddlers, and companies digging their own grave. Unfortunately, some of these companies are too big to fail, despite constant mistakes. I guess they must be doing something right. If you think we are doing something right, let us know at our Instagram or at our website, tiltednotstir.com. Edwin, come back.
Hello, my name is Frantic,
I'm Jeff.
and this is 2/3 Tilted Not Stirred. Yeah, so if y'all didn't catch it from our very brief intro here, Edwin's gone. We killed off his character. He's no longer will to tilt I can't fucking go through with it. He's dying currently in the desert, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
We put him in a bag.
Yeah. It was a little awkward. He was still breathing and kicking. But you know what? He'll be fine out there.
Yeah. So he's doing his firefighter training. So he didn't tell I asked him if he's doing all right, and he didn't text us back. So either something happened to him or he's not doing fine.
Yeah, stay tuned for next week's episode where you'll learn the answer to that and more.
Yeah. And for those Edwin stans that only listen to our episodes because of Edwin, you're shit out of luck, kid.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, you can stay with us or you can stop listening now. It's up to you. But we encourage you to stay.
It's going to be interesting because Edwin's definitely the talker. He's definitely the talker. So
there may be some dead air people, but we'll get through it.
Hey, and for those who've been wondering who Jeff is, I think Jeff's going to talk a lot more this one.
Ah, shit.
So, anyways, what have you been up to, man? How's your week?
I've just been chilling, dude. Chilling. But, I mean, we had a big day Saturday. That was a lot of fun.
Ah, yes. We went to Thirsty Cow. For those who live in the Inland Empire area or maybe in Orange County,
City of Industry,
basically Southern California, there's this really, really good Korean barbecue spot called Thirsty Cow. It's a lot more expensive now, but
it's worth it. It is
on
worth
God,
it.
On God. It was busting. Yeah, it was honestly the best Korean barbecue I've ever had. And I already knew this was my favorite spot, but this time it outdid itself.
It just hits different. I don't know. We sprung the extra $7 for the premium menu.
Yeah, we were ballers that day.
Yeah.
And it felt good. The fruits of our labor.
What was your favorite meat?
My favorite? I think it was the beef belly. That was super good.
For me, I think it was the New York.
The New York steak?
The dry aged steak.
Oh, yeah, it was dry aged. Fancy.
That was really good. Once we put it back on the grill, sorry, David, but we shouldn't have listened to you. We took it off way too early. But when we put it back in, it was perfect, medium rare.
Oh, yeah, it looked good for sure. What did I do this week? I think it was pretty basic. Just getting back into the rhythm of things after Thanksgiving and all those the good stuff.
Oh, yeah, was this your first full week back to work after Thanksgiving?
Yeah, this last week, and it went smooth. Everything's still fine. This week's a little more stressful now because we got deadlines by the end of the year, but everything is running smooth.
Hey, man, that's good to hear.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just kick it off right to the news. Now, the first news, it's not really news, but it might be news to our listeners. But so Twitter, they came out with this thing called Spaces. I think back in October, perhaps. I don't know. The timeline's kind of weird. I tried to find exactly when it launched, but I opened up the app yesterday accidentally. Because I was trying to click on something else.
Did you accidentally join the chat room?
As soon as I opened it, it gave me like a little notification at the bottom. Anyone who has a Twitter will know. And it basically said like, hey, like you join Spaces. And anyways, so Twitter Spaces is audio chat rooms that can be hosted basically by folks on Twitter.
Bootleg Discord, for those who know what that is.
It's kind of like that, but it's like anyone can join into the audio chat room, which I found very interesting because one of the top ones when I because I just clicked that, I'm like, oh, what the hell is Spaces? It was the non-black community using the N-word.
All right.
And
So the internet being the internet.
yeah, well, I mean, I went in because I'm like, well, what the hell is what the hell is going on here? I want to know. And it was hosted by it was like four people. It's like it's weird. So basically there's hosts, there's co-hosts, and then there's listeners, and then if you want to speak, you can hit a button that basically sets a ping to one of the co-hosts or hosts that you would like to speak.
Okay.
And then they'll have like some control over how the chat room's going, because it's not just a shit ton of people talking over each other, because they have the ability to like mute and unmute people. And I found it very, very interesting because I thought it was just going to be like this super toxic ass thing where, I don't know, like maybe some hillbilly would just come in here and start, throwing around the hard R. And maybe I just joined in when the conversation was kind of fruitful. And obviously, it's wrong to use the N-word if you are not black, which is, I mean, pretty fucking standard. But a lot of people were trying to argue why they should still be able to use it. So it was kind of weird, but I had no idea that Twitter was doing this audio chat rooms, and I feel like there's a huge potential, basically for people and ideas to come together, because you can't really express yourself over like whatever. How many characters is it? I don't even fucking know.
250, 150, around there.
Something like that.
And Twitlonger's a thing, but yeah.
Yeah, so it was very interesting. The one thing that I mean, this is just me being tilted. So there was I think she said she was Mexican. She was a Latina for sure. And when it was her turn to speak, she started talking about how like, oh yeah, like, if another Latino calls me a wetback or calls me a bean or something, it's just funny. But then when somebody else calls me that, I get offended. And so I kind of understand like what a black person feels when somebody uses the N-word and they're not black. And in my head, I was like, how fucking dumb can you possibly be? And this is like one of those people that like agrees with everything, right? Like so someone did bring up like you can't compare the two because one has like a shit.
Yeah, she literally said one of the words, right?
Yeah, like there's a lot of history behind the N-word, and then you shouldn't use it for this and this reason. Somebody just calling you a race, like calling you a wetback and being racist to you is not the same. And she like totally agreed, and she's like, yeah, I totally get it, yeah. And then she started talking about how she was like a browner skinned Mexican and how that has complications within the Mexican community. And I'm just like, God damn, just mute this chick, man. Because like it's a conversation about the N-word being used by non-blacks, and she just started talking about her experience as a Mexican. It's just like, this ain't the time and space
wanted
for
a
that
platform
lady.
for her life story, dude.
I guess so. Jesus. But overall though, it was very fruitful and there was a lot of good stuff in there. So if you're curious about what the hell Twitter Spaces is, just open up the app and join in a chat room, because it's not all just like social issues, right? There's apparently people sing in there, so people will go in just to like as an audience for someone singing. I saw things like people talking about space and rocket ships and just regular hobbies, so it has potential. I'm gonna monitor it. I never open Twitter, but this might actually get me to open the app just as like a listening thing, It's not really like a podcast because it's not structured, but I guess it could be structured.
I mean, anything can turn into a podcast after a while.
Yeah. Anyways, that was Twitter Spaces, and yeah, totally not sponsored by Twitter, but there it is. And then you had something?
Oh, for the news?
Yes, sir. It was very spicy.
All
Here we go.
right. Yeah. So the senior vice president of Sony was busted for being a pedophile.
He did what?
Gasp. So there's this
Gasp.
group of people called People versus Preds who basically they just go online pretending to be like young like children, right? They go online pretending to be children to bait like pedophiles to like get them to meet up with them and like say a bunch of shit like, "Oh yeah, like I want to have sex with you" and stuff like that. And then they get them in the act like on video. So it's To Catch a Predator essentially, but on YouTube.
Damn. Like a Chris Hansen, that ass?
Yup.
What are you trying to do here tonight?
Why don't you take a seat?
Yeah,
Yeah, just
with the
take a seat right there.
15-year-old?
Hmm.
She told me she was 16. Does that matter? Dude, fucking To Catch a Predator was so fucking good. It was one of my favorite shows to watch because it's just like people trying to justify the unjustifiable,
Right.
and the way that some people just gave up. Some people were like, "I'm dipping," and as soon as they run out, they get taken down.
Yeah, so that was him. Yeah, he got caught on camera. He just saw the camera and was like, "Nope," and he just closed the door. And the guy who caught him on camera just started screaming like, "Hey, who were you expecting today, right? Who were you expecting? You wanted to have sex with a 15-year-old." And he was just screaming this at the top of his lungs, like, "I'm gonna call the cops." And
Yeah.
he was fired not too long ago. I think yesterday or today. He was fired from Sony. Yeah.
Yeah, what was he again? The vice president
I think
of what though?
senior vice president of PlayStation Network.
Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the video and it was pretty hilarious because dude walked out with the PS5 shirt.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh man, that is not a good look.
Yeah, he really wanted to know. He wanted that 15-year-old to know what he was about. Let me put on my fancy PS5 shirt so this kid knows what's up.
Yeah, he's got to appeal to the youth, and and he got busted. Rip. But this pedo stuff, man. When you first told me about this pedo story, for some reason I thought that the older guy pretended to be a boy because I was like his kink. And I'm like, "Oh, I was so ready to like kink shame this guy cuz it's like, dude, you're a fucking weirdo." But
it was just
when
another
you told
pedo
me
story.
You told me it was just another pedo story. And it's like, oh, fucking hell. Like, yeah, it's like this stuff happens all the time, and
Man.
just another example of it. Not a good look for Sony.
George Casipo? I don't know how to say it, but yeah, that's him. So those who want to look him up.
What a dirty bastard. But yeah, man. I mean, again, another thing. It's like, don't fucking touch or look at kids. It's
Don't
simple.
be a diddler, dude. It's always
Don't
sunny.
be-
There it is.
Oh.
Don't be a diddler. It's not hard.
So I don't know if this does much in terms of just overall sentiment, right? Because it's just another story of many.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess the only relevant thing here is that
He was a prominent person.
yeah, he worked for a big gaming company, or a console, right? I guess it's games.
Yeah, both.
He got caught in a PlayStation 5 T-shirt, so
Yeah.
yeah.
How do you not get fired after that?
But yeah, man. So speaking of getting fired, I'm just kidding.
Oh shit.
The topic for today is gonna be companies killing their own product. And I guess since we just finished talking about like Sony, I think the first thing I wanted to bring up was modern gaming.
Oh yeah.
Fucking
Where do we
modern
begin, man?
gaming. Yeah, so for companies killing their own product, it's basically gonna be companies that they don't seem to understand what the consumer wants, and slowly but surely they just make worse and worse products. And I think a lot of the times these companies, they want to come out with something quality, but they know that quality is expensive.
Right.
Yeah, and I still remember one of the conversations I had with our friend David that basically like investors and like executives, right? That like they own a huge shares of these companies. That they're one of the biggest reasons why everything's such a shit show. They're basically the holders of the company, right? And they demand profits every year, and
Yeah.
it's not about quality. It's about
Maximizing
just
profits.
maximizing them profits. So for those who are into gaming, they know that modern gaming nowadays is comprised of, well,
Early access.
yeah, early access, delays, unfinished products, perpetual betas, where they don't want to fully commit into saying that their game is launched, but they're already charging you shit in the store, like the in-game store, and they're still calling it a beta. But it's like, dude, this game is fucking out.
I already paid. I paid for this game. There's already in-game transactions, but hey, it's still in beta, right?
It's still in beta, guys. You can't judge us. And so, almost every single game that's come out for the past couple of years has always been an unfinished mess, and it's plagued with this mentality of like, we'll patch it later. Like, oh, we'll launch it now so you can play it, and it'll get better over time, guys. Trust us.
Yes, the Cyberpunk debacle.
It's bullshit, and I really wonder if there's like analytics in this shit where like the big guys upstairs, making the decisions are being told, hey, if you want to increase player retention, you come out with some of it now, and then you come out with something later, and they'll come back to play, and then you'll come back with something more, man, and they'll keep coming back.
It's the other way around, dude. That's how I think. I think it's the executives who are telling the development team, hey, you need to turn something out now because we want money now. So release whatever you have, and like you said, we'll fix it as it goes because they want profits now, not later. That's what happened with Cyberpunk.
So it's not. So the strategy isn't deliberate. It's more of just they launch it now, and now they're forced to patch it, or else people are mad.
I don't think they care about patches. I think once they launch it, that's when corporate stops caring because that's when they get their profits. And then it isn't until they realize, oh, this was a failure, and then they start blaming the developers. Like, oh, why did you release this mess? And it's like, well, you told us to. I don't know about that, Chief.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's that, but I think it's important for them to patch it, or else people aren't going to buy the next game.
Well, yeah, that's what's happening with Cyberpunk, right? They're forced to patch it because this game ruined their reputation, and if they don't, who's going to buy The Witcher 4? Yeah, 4.
The Witcher 4?
Yeah,
I'm going to buy it.
Who will buy Witcher 4 if Cyberpunk was bad?
Yeah. It's definitely interesting to see the fall of some of these companies. Some of them I feel like are a little too big to fail, which is kind of annoying. I mean, EA. I've kind of already started seeing EA games, right? The same game every year, or
Battlefront is getting a lot of heat.
Yeah, they are. They really are, because again, it's plagued with a shit ton of bugs, and it's not like games of old that used to come out finished,
polished,
especially when they were on CD, like on a DVD ROM.
Right. Well, it had to be perfect then, right? Because you couldn't really patch it day one
or do significant, patches. It has to basically be done. But now that things are online and the investors want their money sooner rather than later, well, then there it is. It's also all this like quarterly bullshit. The fact that there's quarterly reports. Oh yeah. And every quarter, these companies have to be like, oh,
well, why was there a 5% dip here?
We have 10% player retention here, and anyways, just a bunch of like business side stuff that's killing products.
Yeah.
Because it's not always the product's fault that it's unfinished. It's the people behind it.
Yeah. So then,
And
I mean, I could get into what has me tilted this week, and
what is it?
that is Magic the Gathering Arena.
Magic the Gathering Arena.
Oh yes.
Oh no! What do they do this time?
So for those who don't know, Magic the Gathering is a trading card game, tabletop. You know, you play with your cards, and then you play similar to Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon, but this is the online version that you can play on a computer. So when they first started, it was supposed to be a standard only format, which means you would only play with the newest cards that were available. And then when the newest cards rotated out, the fan base was like, well, we still want to use those cards. And, Wizards of the Coast slash who's the other owner? Hasbro? Yeah, it's Hasbro, right?
Hasbro, yeah.
Yeah, Hasbro. They were like, well, you're shit out of luck. This is for standard. And then the player base revolted and they were like, okay, fine. You can keep your cards in this dedicated format. And since then, that format has actually grown really well. It's well loved by the community. It's called Historic. And yeah, people actually enjoy it and play it a lot. So what they're doing now with this newest debacle is they said, hey, Standard, which is, you playing with the newest cards, we know that Standard, hey, it has some troubling cards, right? We can't ban them because, that's not how we do things. But what we can do is nerf them by changing the text on the card.
Oh, wait. So, something to keep in mind is that Magic is also printed.
Right.
So, yes, it's very easy to change it in an online for an online game, but to change something that's printed, how the hell are they
pretty
doing
much
that?
Impossible. So their solution to this was to launch an entirely new game mode called Alchemy exclusive to Magic, to the online client. And with that, they will make changes to cards as they see fit. So if a card is broken, quote unquote, then they'll nerf it just for that format.
So the physical cards will still remain.
Yes, physical cards will still be the same. Standard, quote unquote, will still be the same. But all the change cards will only exist in Alchemy, the new format.
Okay.
And where the issue is that those changed cards are going to also be changed in Historic. So instead of playing with the original cards in Historic, like you would think, you're playing with the digital cards.
So they're keeping the cards the same for Standard and in print, but Historic is
changing with Alchemy. It's going to be a live format, quote unquote. It's like Hearthstone, for those who know what that is.
And that fucking great.
Yeah. And then to top it all off, when they nerf a card, they're not going to refund you what you used to get the card.
Right, because you can still use it.
Because you can still use it, they say.
They're changing it, but you can still use it.
But you can still use it, so we don't need to give you your currency back.
That's interesting. I had no idea that they were doing that.
Yeah. So that has me up in arms, because that's my favorite format. And yeah, they're gonna change it, and I don't like it.
I think it's troubling in that, one, they're not taking the feedback by their customers, right? The actual players. Yet. I don't think anyone asked for this.
No one asked for Historic to be affected by these changes.
Right. Maybe people might have wanted some cards to be changed, but for like all of history for Magic, it's like what's printed on the card is what it is. Well, the only thing you can do is maybe change like the rules a little bit as far as like how the mechanic works, but right. You can't really
change the card text.
Yeah, and one of my gripes with Magic is that the cards that they come out with just get progressively stronger, and like the testers and the quality control are just I mean, can they hire more people? Do they want to hire people? Do they care that their cards are broken?
I read a comment that was basically them saying now that they have this other alternative, they don't even need to pay playtesters anymore because they can just change the broken cards as they see fit. Which obviously isn't true because, it still needs to work on paper.
Yeah.
But it's just a funny comment that I read.
Yeah, I mean, whatever gets them to sell cards. That's another thing too. Is like when a card comes out that's like obviously broken, and then everyone's like, "Well, I need to run that card so I can be competitive."
Yeah, you got to buy packs for that.
You buy packs for it, and you get it, cool. And
if you don't, well,
and then they'll
more packs.
And then like give it a couple of months, and everyone's up in arms, and so they'll just say, "Okay, well, we'll ban it. Everything's solved." And it's like all the people who bought just for that card, and now it's banned. It's like, cool.
SOL.
Thanks, Wizards.
So yeah, that was my rant about a company that's got me tilted. Sorry for those who didn't understand the reference or are completely lost.
Yeah, let's step away a little bit from like gaming and nerd stuff. What other companies just don't seem, they just seem out of touch?
Do I get to rant again?
Wow. You're in a ranting mood today. Yeah. I mean, go for it, man.
I mean, for me, it's Facebook, dude. This whole change to Meta, like this whole like turning it into like this whole weird VR thing, I don't think anyone asked for that. I think it's just one of those things that they were like, hey, let's do this. Facebook is dying because our average age is like 40 now. So let's just rebrand and shift online so we can get the youth back.
Dude, that's true. TikTok and well, Facebook owns Instagram, right?
Yeah, they own Instagram and WhatsApp. So by that they have all your data, so they know what you like, right? So then that's why they know that you
like TikTok,
I guess.
Yeah, I mean the younger generation. It was always for an older generation until I remember I was in high school. Like after basically from the shift from MySpace to Facebook, a lot of us were still young when that happened. But I remember at first I was kind of hesitant to change over because this social media website seemed like it was for older people.
I think,
and now we're the older people.
Well, no, it wasn't older people. It was just like college students, right? That's what it was originally geared towards. So we were in high school when it was for these like, mid 20 people.
Well, in my mind, I felt like it was where the adults went. Like we had, as young kids, we had MySpace and the adults went to Facebook. And so I was just like, oh, I'm going to do adult things now. Woo. And now we're the adults and we're not on there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, they know that their numbers are going down. Everyone kind of knows that Facebook's in the gutter. Since I work in advertising, I mean, it's still like a necessary evil. Same reason why you still see commercials on TV and radio and all that.
Right.
You still have to do it because there's still people on there. So Facebook is still, they're still rich. They're still selling their advertising.
But I think it's just, on the
shift to Meta. I mean, we talked a little bit about how it'll allow you to, live out all your waifu dreams and be all the waifu NFTs. It allows you to be a degenerate and I mean, sure, someone might do something good with it, but I mean, or are we kidding? And so yeah, Facebook. I mean, it's always constantly in the shitter. Mark Zuckerberg is
a lizard,
a fucking lizard. And I don't know enough about Facebook to know if people are giving feedback to how to make the platform better. But I know that they have a lot of businesses on the platform, so it might just live off of that at some point.
So I know I don't know if businesses still do this a lot, but I think focus groups, right? I was reading on Reddit, people were talking about movie posters, and someone said, "Oh, all these are run through focus groups." So you see all these basic ass movie posters that all look the same with the same head actor like plastered on.
Right.
So it's probably just the same thing, right? They have this idea, they run it through a focus group of like 5 idiots that they found on the street, and they're like, "Yeah, I want to be online with a waifu. That sounds cool." And then like, "That's the average American," and then they
There
market
it
that.
is.
Yep,
That's what they like.
that's exactly what they like.
I mean, they want to pioneer, like, a space, be the big company doing the metaverse stuff. So I guess it's kind of commendable because I mean, at some point,
You
the future is now, right? Like at some point, the future's got to start.
But hey,
But I
man,
think they're
only time
definitely
will tell.
dying. Yeah, I mean, they're dying to TikTok and all these other forms of social media that are more appealing to the youth because they're innovating. Facebook, I'm pretty sure if I log on, it's the same boring ass social media app.
That's always been.
That it's always been. And I don't think they're adapting very well. Kind of like Blockbuster.
Ooh,
That
that's a fall from grace.
yeah, they got wrecked by Netflix. I just wonder who's gonna wreck Netflix, or are they wrecking themselves?
I don't know. See, the issue, right, that Netflix solved was cable. People were complaining about cable and how it's an expensive package and how there's too much ads. So Netflix came out, but since it's come out, they've been like steadily increasing their price to keep up with like their profits.
I mean, yeah, they're coming out with a lot of original content too. So, and they're a very big. I don't even know. There's probably a name for this. So basically, a company that impacts culture. I don't know if there's a name for that, but that's what Netflix is. Anything on Netflix that comes out is like another phenomenon that everyone's talking about on social media.
I see what you. Yeah. Like, what was it? Squid Games, Tiger King.
Yeah, it seems like every time something comes out, it's just like, oh shit, did you watch that on Netflix? Which is kind of like the size of things like Facebook back in the day too. And I wonder what's gonna do Netflix in.
I already know what's gonna do Netflix in, dude.
Oh,
it's gonna be a subscription bundle.
Oh,
so no, it's not what you think.
Yeah, they're gonna kill themselves, is what you're saying.
Yes and no. What's gonna happen is because right now the biggest thing about cable is you're paying so much for 6 different packages, right? So what happens when all the streaming platforms do the same? When they're like, hey, you can get Netflix, but you can save money if you also bundle it with the Hulu package or the Fire Stick pack. Like they're all gonna start coming together and making these cable deals where you just pay $100 for 6 different streaming services.
Yeah, it's a streaming bundle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and then we're gonna be end up in the same shit as cable.
I mean, a lot of people, they probably don't notice how much they spend on streaming services. If you have a Hulu, you have a Netflix.
That's $12.
You have like, let's say,
both,
Apple
right?
Music. Let's say you have Spotify. I mean, you wouldn't have both, but let's say you have one of the two.
So what do you have, Frank? Let's do the math. For me, it's Netflix, Disney, and HBO are the 3.
You have all those?
Well, my sister pays for Disney, and then I play for
okay.
HBO and Netflix. Oh, and I guess I have Amazon too.
Yeah, there it is.
So that's,
I mean,
4 different streaming services right there.
I mean, I steal my girlfriend's Amazon account, so
nice.
What do I have? I have Netflix, and I pay for internet because that's another cost that a lot of people don't include is that your internet service provider. Before, if you had a cable, you didn't need that. I mean, I guess maybe you paid for the box. I don't know.
They still make you do that, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
for internet too. I think it's, if you want to use their router, it's $10 a month or $15 a month for using their router.
Yeah. So, I mean, so I pay the internet, Netflix, and I have Apple Music. What else do I have?
No Hulu, no Disney, no YouTube, no HBO.
Oh no, I've avoided all those things, man.
Okay.
Yeah, it is too much. It is too much. And I can see what you're saying. Like if they start bundling all the all the streaming stuff, they'll still make a shit ton of money. But I wonder how that would work. Like, would it be an agreement and they all just split the cost of the subscription amongst each other?
Something like that, or it just gets bought out by someone bigger.
Maybe.
And that's how you have like what Disney owns Hulu and ESPN. So then they have like the 3-tier package where you can get all three for like $20 a month or something.
Yeah, that's the thing now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Or maybe Netflix is dumb enough to make it a subscription where they're like, hey, do you want Netflix movies, Netflix shows, where we're separating it all? That could also be a thing.
Yeah. And you know what all these streaming services and social media stuff is killing? Other than just cable?
What's that?
But like fucking news networks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those have been dying for a while now, dude.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about companies that are killing their own product, look no further than Fox and CNN. Their whole product is supposed to be, what is it supposed to be? Honest journalism? Is that their product?
Is that what you call it? I guess.
It's supposed to be the news.
It's supposed to be the news.
Their product is the news.
Yeah. Journalism. Yeah, it's supposed to be unbiased, right?
Unbiased news. It's supposed to be what the product is, but it's far from
give
that.
You the facts, but yeah, like you said,
it's far from it, and they're catering to their viewers, which is okay, whatever.
That's kind of what you have to do, unfortunately.
It's kind of what you have to do again because of like corporatism and these companies basically having to increase their profit margins even if they're on a dying platform. But you got Fox and CNN covering the same story, completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just super interesting, to be honest. And things like Twitter, it's kind of hard because before Twitter used to be a place where you can get some news, but now that's a shitstorm too. Where do you get news now?
Me on headlines from Reddit. Like anyone else.
Is Reddit a viable? I mean, I guess a lot of people on Reddit, they get constantly checked, right? Like if somebody puts up a story on r/news,
people are definitely quick to call it bullshit. But that's also another thing, right? Where those subreddits are definitely echo chambers. So you see certain stories upvoted more than others.
Ah, okay. So the stories themselves can be true, but the first stories you see at the top are still subject to bias, but now by the person reading it.
Right.
Okay.
Or the person posting it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's hard to definitely get away from just unbiased news, right?
Can unbiased news be profitable?
I think in today's time, yeah, honestly. I think people do still want the news, but they just don't want it filled with with the writers' opinions.
Yeah. Because so the thing about Fox and CNN is they're obviously catering to their viewers, and as their numbers dip, it seems like instead of thinking, what if we just started putting out good quality stuff, they decide that, sensationalism is the way to go. And our like, what is it? What are our brains supposed to be? Reptilian?
What?
Or are they supposed to be monkey brains? Like what do they say? There's like a phrase for our brains that we're just dumb and we just do.
Yeah, isn't it monkey brain?
A monkey?
I think.
Yeah. So we got monkey brains and we see headline, we click headline.
I mean, yeah.
In today's environment, to have a massive company, kind of like, you have Nike, Adidas, you have really big companies in like, I don't know, jewelry, let's say like Tiffany, or like you have designer. It's super interesting to see how, and I don't know if this is them killing themselves, but like during like let's say Gay Pride Month or
Ooh,
like
I have the answer to that, Frank. They play both sides, so that way they always come out on top.
right.
Yeah. So they support all these things, but at the same time, they're donating to the people who are opposed to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Either way, they come out on top, so it doesn't fucking matter to them.
Yeah, so the point that I was gonna make was that sometimes it's not the product that's killing the company. Sometimes it's just the stance that they take online, because companies can't not be political. Yeah, can't not be political, because if they don't say anything, then people are gonna say, well,
Oh yeah,
what
people
does Nike
take your silence
Nike
as a stance, right?
Yeah, like, oh, Nike, look how much you profit off of black athletes, and they're, you sponsor them, and blah 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 blah, all this stuff, and then you say nothing. Like, what kind of shit is that? And then that's when Nike has to come out and give out like BLM support type of stuff, and then you have people on the other side like, oh, I can't believe you're I don't know, shilling. Maybe is a word.
Shilling.
Oh, you're shilling to the BLM movement. You have no spine. Blah, blah,
you're just
blah.
doing it for the money.
Or my favorite is the Chinese sympathizers.
Ooh,
shout out
to LeBron and
like,
John Cena.
You John Cena. That shit was hilarious. Man spoke perfect Mandarin to apologize to the Chinese market. It was fucking great. Anyways, why did he do that again? Didn't he mention Taiwan?
Yeah,
he probably mentioned
just
Taiwan.
said Taiwan, and then yeah,
he didn't say Taiwan owned by
China. Isn't it the Republic of Taiwan? How do they say it?
If it's
Chinese Taipei. That's how they say it.
Oh yeah.
That's the Chinese way to say it.
Yeah, he needed to say like when you open Instagram and it says by Meta at the bottom, he needed to say Taiwan by China or some shit. Give them some recognition. But anyways, so you have like stances where you're supposed to be for human rights, and then when something comes out that like the Chinese are doing, you're just kind of like,
yeah, but that's a big market.
It's like, so what do you think about what's going on in China? What's going on where? In China? Where at? What? Really?
I've never heard of that.
I don't know. I'm going to have to get back to you on that. I don't know. Weird.
I didn't even know that was a country.
No, you have to say it's a country.
Oh, okay,
dude.
yeah. You have to acknowledge
that's the whole
it,
thing, dude. You have to acknowledge
China.
Yeah.
What? They're doing? Nah, they wouldn't do that.
Nah. That's definitely not.
You're crazy, man.
And then probably when the cameras are off, they're just like, "What the fuck, man? Like, you're really trying to fuck me over here, aren't you?"
We already make our shit there.
Is there? I mean, there has to be etiquette, right, for interviewers. There's certain questions you can't ask, or like. Kind of like a leading question, right? It's not proper to,
it depends on
give those kind of questions.
It depends on where you're going, right? I think and who you are. I know some like late night people, they'll get like a list ahead of time, like, oh, don't bring this up. These are things you can't say. These are things you can't ask. Things like that. So I'm guessing,
Yeah, because there's questions that if you answer, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Right.
And so what you end up doing is the person who's getting interviewed is gonna be like, you know what, fuck that, I'm not going back on that show.
Exactly.
Or I'm not gonna accept any more questions from so and so. And so you have people trying to softball. I don't know if that's the phrase.
Yeah. Just softball them questions.
Yeah, it's just like the easiest of answers, so that we just move on.
So what do you think about America? Well, it's a great country. Yes, it is.
All right. So what you're saying is that you're okay with it's like, oh God, chill. Yeah, but I guess rant over.
All right, yeah. I mean,
what do you think?
Huh?
We don't have Edwin here. What would Edwin say?
What would Edwin say? Edwin would say,
Well, like you guys probably already know, I don't really fuck with like mainstream
yeah.
And I like my my hole in the walls
and yeah.
What would he say about The Sony pedo.
Sony P. I think you just find it funny, right? Because it's hilarious, dude. He opens the door with a PS5 shirt on. Like how
That's very fucking hilarious.
like why?
Yeah.
It's too much.
And I guess what makes it hilarious is that no kid was actually harmed. And I don't know. Is he gonna go to jail too? Maybe.
I mean, they said that they turned in all the evidence to the police.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the police does with that.
Yeah. Too bad he wasn't here for the Twitter Spaces part, because I would have wanted to know. I mean, he's part black, but I don't think I've ever heard him say the N-word. So that'd be kind of interesting, maybe, to ask him, maybe for next episode. Have you? I don't think he's used it, right?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah. So maybe I wonder why he does it. I mean, you don't have to use the words. This is like the thing. I don't want to circle back, but like, there's so many fucking words in the English language. It just pisses me off that like people, oh, why can't I say it? It's like, say something else.
Yeah, there's millions of other words.
Fucktard, like, Jesus Christ. But anyways, I'm not gonna fucking keep this going. Hey man, we did it.
Yeah,
us two.
We filled some time.
Yep. Hey, and if you enjoyed this episode without Edwin, just
let us know, and we'll be back next week with Edwin to tell him that no one liked it.
Yeah, and we'll kill him off. Don't worry. Like, not literally kill him off, but like, you know how in TV shows, once a character suddenly passes, and you know, we'll take care of it. Don't worry. Edwin, he doesn't have to be here if y'all don't want him.
Yeah, and then we can do a game show type, looking for our next third host. Apply now.
You know what I've been really curious about doing is getting guests to come on.
I mean, we've had one guest that we've been trying to get on, but our schedules don't line up.
Yeah, and like, at first I thought, okay, if we have a guest, they might not have like a nice mic to record, but I think even if it's a shitty mic, I think what's most important is just hearing like what they have to say. Yeah, because we're like not experts on a shit ton of topics, so it'd be interesting to bring someone in
who actually knows what they're talking about.
Well, when you put it that way, yes, someone who actually knows what they're talking about would be great. Oh God, Edwin, come back. Okay, so that'll be the end of our episode. So you can reach us at our website tiltednoster.com, where you'll find links to our Instagram and Twitter. You can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube.
Remember to join us to share your question and voice your thoughts on what has you tilted, not stirred.
Later, skater. I saw your part.